2008, Mitt Romney penned an op-ed in the New York Times that the editors there titled, "Let Detroit Go Bankrupt," though Romney never used those words in the piece. In it, he opposed a federal bailout of the industry, but he did call for a managed bankruptcy of the auto company, something, by the way, the Obama administration ultimately implemented. So by the letter here, our verdict is false. Romney never did say, let Detroit go bankrupt, even if he supported a managed bankruptcy. Remember, also, his opposition to the bailout or direct federal investment puts him at odds with both the Bush and Obama administrations. Finally here, will Obamacare force people to lose insurance coverage? Paul Ryan said Obamacare will cause 20 million people to lose their insurance.
Look at all the string of broken promises. If you like your health care plan, you can keep it. Try telling that to the 20 million people who are projected to lose their health insurance if Obamacare goes through.
Bold statement. The facts here are this. A Congressional Budget Office analysis this past March mentioned the possibility, the outside possibility, of 20 people losing coverage due to the law. It was part of a range of possibilities that also included 3 million people actually gaining coverage. In its conclusion, the Congressional Budget Office said the CBO and the Joint Committee on Taxation's judgment is a sharp decline in employment-based health insurance as a result of the Affordable Care Act is unlikely. Unlikely. So our verdict here, Wolf, is simply it's false. Paul Ryan went a little out on a limb there. And Wolf, I should say this. During our last segment, I pointed out that Paul Ryan was right when he said that Iran now has enough material, enough uranium to make 5 nuclear bombs. You may have been confused because the graphic on the screen said Iran had 5 bombs. That is obviously not the case. The graphic should have said that Iran had enough material, enough uranium for 5 bombs. We do fact checks here, so we just wanted to clarify that.
Good work. I'm glad you did. Thanks very much, John. All right, more results just in from our poll of debate watchers. 57% say Biden is qualified to be president if necessary. 42% say he's not. 60% say Ryan would be qualified to be president. 38% say he's not. 50% say Paul Ryan expressed himself more clearly. 41% say Biden was clearer. Look at this. 70% say Biden spent more time attacking his opponent. 19% say Ryan spent more time on the attack. 53% say Ryan was more likable. 43% found Biden to be more likable. Jessica Yellen is standing by in the spin room with a special guest, the vice president's son, the Attorney General of Delaware, Beau Biden.
That's right, Wolf. I am here with Attorney General Beau Biden. You spoke to your dad shortly after the debate. Our poll shows that it was essentially a draw. Paul Ryan slightly ahead, but you must be relieved tonight. He must be pleased. What changed this evening?
Well, look, I was very happy. And, you know, my dad was in command of that stage tonight. Command and had a depth of the facts that you saw on a whole host of issues, and from foreign policy to domestic. What struck me tonight was Paul Ryan actually opening the door to put additional troops in Afghanistan. I served in Iraq, and so it's a particular interest to me. You saw the vice president articulate a clear stated policy of the United States government that President Obama has put us on to withdraw our forces by 2014. And you saw Congressman Ryan open the door wide open for putting additional forces in Afghanistan. I'm very interested to see what the conversations happening between the governor and Paul Ryan today and their senior foreign policy staff, because he opened up a whole new area on a very critically important foreign policy issue that demonstrated, I say this respectfully of Congressman Ryan, this is a person who says his foreign policy experience is that he voted to send troops to war, I'm told. Well, I think you saw a little bit different, depth of experience on these very important issues. You saw a very stark contrast on foreign policy. You saw a very stark contrast on the middle class, on how each would take care of, and my father defend Medicare and extend Medicare and make sure it's as it is, and how Paul Ryan would want to voucherize Medicare.
And you and your service came up very briefly there. The congressman mentioned that at one point.
Very, very, very kind of the congressman. But what you saw was a person opening the door to putting additional forces in Afghanistan. It was remarkable to me.
May I ask on a topic that might be sensitive to you, but sure. There's been some criticism on Twitter and then among people, the chattering class, about your father interrupting so frequently and his smile during the debate. Are you concerned that his demeanor during the debate might cause some negative reaction in the coming days?
Not at all. Look, if the only criticism coming from the right and from some folks out there is that he smiled too much, I'll take that any day. My father was enjoying the opportunity to debate Congressman Ryan on a very important issues facing this country about whether or not we build the middle class, from the out, or whether or not we, do as George W. Bush and Paul Ryan wanted to do and kind of this trickle-down notions, or whether it be on Medicare and how we make sure that we, have the Medicare that we have and always and will for the future.
So no concern on the style points?
Oh, no, not at all. My father was in command of that stage, in command of the facts, and he gave the American people a very clear contrast on two very different paths. And again, Paul Ryan opened up a very, very, very interesting area of discussion about whether or not he and Governor Romney want to commit additional forces to Afghanistan. These are things you can't just talk about loosely, and he did tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we wish you and your family well, and thanks for talking. All right. Wolf, it's an exciting night here in the spin room. Both sides claiming victory for their team. It seems from this vantage that it's something of a draw at this point, but we'll see in the coming days what the polls show. Wolf.
Thanks very much, Jessica, for that. We're also going to see what our focus group of undecided voters in the critically important battleground state of Virginia have to say about who won, who lost. Will they make up their minds? We're also getting, get this, we're getting the reaction from the President of the United States. Take a look at that. He's watching what's going on, and look what channel he is watching. He is watching CNN. You can see the squiggly lines at the bottom. We got the focus group. The President of the United States and his reaction when we come back. We're getting reaction from the President of the United States. There you see he's aboard Air Force One in the conference room aboard Air Force One. He's watching the debate between Paul Ryan and Joe Biden. You see he's watching CNN. Glad the President has good taste in the channel he selects to watch this debate. We're also told he thought that the Vice President was, in his words, terrific. And he added he couldn't be prouder. Here's Mitt Romney, the Republican presidential nominee. He's in North Carolina. He was watching the debate as well. We don't have an official statement from him as yet. I'm sure he was very, very pleased, though, with Paul Ryan's performance. The Republicans really liked how Paul Ryan did, holding his own with Joe Biden. The Democrats certainly liked how Joe Biden did tonight as well. Let's take a closer look at our focus group of undecided Virginia voters, how they responded to the candidates tonight. We measured their reaction as they listened to the Vice President and Congressman Paul Ryan. Remember, the green line represents the men. The yellow line is for women. Here's Biden's best moment of the night. It happened at around 9:25 p.m. Eastern. The question was if it's possible to get unemployment below 6%. Listen to the Vice President talk about taxes and the economy.
They should be signing a pledge saying to the middle class, we're going to level the playing field. We're going to give you a fair shot again. We are going to not repeat the mistakes we made in the past by having a different set of rules for Wall Street and Main Street, making sure that we continue to hemorrhage these tax cuts for the super wealthy.
Now let's take a look at Paul Ryan's best moment. He peaked at 9:27 p.m. Eastern, answering the same question that Biden just answered. Listen to Paul Ryan's high point on the economy.
We need real reforms for a real recovery, and that's exactly what Mitt Romney and I are proposing. It's a 5-point plan. Get America energy independent in North America by the end of the decade. Help people who are hurting get the skills they need to get the jobs they want. Get this deficit and debt under control to prevent a debt crisis. Make trade work for America so we can make more things in America and sell them overseas, and champion small businesses. Don't raise taxes on small businesses because they're our job creators.
All right, let's bring in Aaron Burnett. She's in Virginia with a group of undecided voters who are watching very closely. Aaron?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly were. And let's talk about those highs. Obviously, both of them on the economy, and there's that's not a mistake. I mean, that's what the people here thought was the most important, the economy and jobs. Let me ask you, Michael, first. So you were thought that in terms of what Joe Biden and had to say, what did you think was the strong point?
I thought the strong point for Paul Ryan was his goals that he enumerated at the end. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a plan, but if you don't have a goal, you can't make a plan. I thought that Vice President Biden enumerated neither goals nor plans and was somewhat elusive in terms of defining what the answers to the questions that he was asked by the moderator.
I'm going to ask Heather here because you were positive on what Paul Ryan had to say, but also frustrated when he listed out his five goals, as you use the word, right?
Yes, I felt it wasn't a 5-point plan. It was a 5 set of platitudes. He told you he wanted to improve education and training and improve the deficit and improve trade, but not how he would improve education, how he would improve trade, how he would help the economy other than what his end goals were.
It's interesting, Wolf, some of the frustration people had here was that there weren't lots of specifics in this debate. And in fact, I know you're going to talk about the low points, but the SMU professors here are saying that this debate is the #1 debate in terms of the number of low points as scored by the focus group that they've ever done in the past 6 years.
And I want to do that right now, Aaron. Let's take a look at the low points of the debate for both Joe Biden and Paul Ryan. Let's begin with the vice president. It came at around 10 p.m. Eastern, right near the top of the debate, when he was explaining the attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya.
Well, we weren't told they wanted more security again. We did not know they wanted more security again. And by the way, at the time, we were told we said exactly what the intelligence community told us that they knew. That was the assessment. And as the intelligence community changed their view, we made it clear they changed their view. That's why I said we will get to the bottom of this.
That was the vice president's lowest moment, according to our focus group. Congressman Ryan's low point happened near the end of the debate at around 10:20 p.m. Eastern, when he was asked about abortion.
We don't think that unelected judges should make this decision, that people through their elected representatives and reaching a consensus in society through the democratic process should make this determination.
Let's go back to Erin Burnett. She's with the focus group that was making those determinations about the low points and the high points.
And Wolf, at the end of the debate, I read them. I said, this is the moment that you all scored the lowest for Paul Ryan and for Joe Biden. Do you remember the moment? And they did. I mean, how many of you remember the abortion comment from Paul Ryan? Every single person in this room, Wolf. I mean, it's pretty stunning. And in terms of the Libya comment from Joe Biden, how many here remembered that? Every person. They had strong views. So let's talk about the Libya issue first. Chris, you had a strong point of view on that. Go ahead and use that one.
Yes, I did have a strong point of view. I felt that Biden just didn't quite speak clearly. He didn't have his facts straight, maybe. A lot of us, this is a military town, so most of us have a background in it. But when we went to work the next day, it was automatically assumed it was almost a terrorist attack. And on top of that, we felt that most of these places, when you go overseas, the embassies generally have a Marine detachment or military detachment to protect them. And why didn't they have that? Why didn't they automatically provide protection for the ambassador?
All right. And Wolf, the takeaway here at the bottom line, end of the day here, you had a third of the people think that Paul Ryan won, and a third of the people think Joe Biden won. But when it came out, if you were forced to vote tonight, again, these are undecided voters, Wolf, but if they were forced to vote tonight, Barack Obama picked up 3 votes and Mitt Romney picked up 3 votes. That's what we would call a tie.
Yeah.
Back to you.
That's what we thought right from the beginning. A draw. I guess people agree with us. Thanks very much for that. Here's the big picture from our focus group. Overall, those undecided Virginia voters reacted more positively to Congressman Ryan. He had 8 high points during the debate, while Vice President Biden had only 5 high points. And for the low points, Biden had 8 of them, according to our focus group, while Ryan had only 1 low throughout that 90-minute debate. So did tonight's debate to make viewers more likely to vote for one of these 2 vice presidential candidates? And what about the presidential candidate? Stand by, more results coming in right now from our post-debate poll. And we're just minutes away from an encore presentation of the entire debate. All right, we're bringing you in some fresh results from our own poll of debate watchers. 49% say Paul Ryan did a better job defending his running mate tonight, compared to 43% who say Joe Biden did a better job. And when we asked who did the vice presidential debate make you more likely to vote for, 21% said President Obama, 28% said Mitt Romney, 50% said neither. Anderson, I think all the indications are this was a draw.
Yeah, I mean, I found it just riveting to watch. And I think, as our contributor said, it certainly did energize Democrats. And the question is, those independents, those people who are still undecided, will it change their minds? And if so, who won among them?
I was happy there were no references to Big Bird in this debate tonight as well.
We'll see next week.
Yeah. We're seeing some very interesting trends online. On Facebook, Vice President Biden had 36% more mentions than Congressman Ryan. The top keywords we're seeing about the debate: abortion was the #1 issue, followed by malarkey military and Medicare. Very, very
Malarkey.
You say that? That's malarkey?
I don't think I say it enough.
Malarkey.
Yes.